Hello and welcome to the second to last night of the Christmas confection countdown. So we are just about done. We have 2 more desserts to make, and tonight we're going to find out what is going to be on the list for number 11. So I'm pretty excited, so let's see what we got. Ooh, a basic butter cookie, but done 5 ways. I want to dress it up a little bit. So I have a couple of ideas on how to make them look cute to where you can put them all on the same board, and they're gonna all be the same cookie, except for some couple are going to have a little bit of different flavor variations, but you can put them all on the same board and they'll look fun and festive and all a little bit different. So that's what we're going to be working on today, and I am very excited for this one. Let's get to it. Before we move on over to our mixer is just going to be a couple of things. So we have our butter, which is sitting at room temperature, and in our sugars we have granulated sugar and powdered sugar for this recipe. I also have some eggs here, pastry flour. You can use all-purpose if that's all you can get your hands on, but I'm using pastry flour to give it a nice soft tender cookie. And then I have a little vanilla. Now this is going into our basic cookie. This is going to be the jumping off point from where we start doing our variation. So we're going to get the basic cookie done because one of my cookies is going to just be a basic cookie, and then I'm going to add the cherry into it, and that's going to be one of the variations. I also have a variation where I will be adding in some green food dye, and we'll be making a tree. I have some sprinkles here, and I also have some sparkles that we'll be putting on for that. And then we'll also be doing a variation where we're adding a little bit of almond to do an almond topped cookie with a chocolate drizzle, and also a peppermint chocolate cookie. So there's a lot of things that are going to be going on here, and I will put everything in a description for the ingredients, and we'll also talk about it as we do each variation. So let's get started. First, we are going to cream together our butter and our sugars, and then once that's nice and fluffy, we're going for a nice airy cookie, so we're going to go really fluffy with that. We will add in our eggs and our vanilla before we start sifting in our flour. All right, here's where we are going to pull some out for variation number 1. We have this beautiful cookie dough. And we are going to put it in a piping bag with a star tip, and that is going to be for our vanilla and cherry cookies. I'm not taking much. I don't need a lot of cookies, so I'm just making a couple of cookies for my little dessert board. All right, this is going to be for cookie variation number 1 with our cherries. Now for cookie variation number 2, we are actually going to make attempts at rolling our cookie. So I don't really know how to explain what I plan on doing. Like a pinwheel cookie, but we're gonna make a miniature. So I'm going to take some of my dough and stick it here on this parchment paper so that I can roll it out, and then we'll have rolling of this and rolling of the chocolate. There's not gonna be much though. I'm not doing a lot of it. It's just a little bit. And I'm gonna let it get solid in the fridge before I even attempt to smooth it out. Take a little bit of this dough. And for this one, I don't honestly know if this is gonna work. I'm trying it out just to see if I can make it work, because I would love to have miniature Yule log cookies, and I plan on, if they do work, dipping them in ganache. I think that'll be just delicious. So we're going to put this in the fridge and let this kind of firm up, and then I'll roll it. And let's move on to the next cookie. All right, for cookie number 3, I'm gonna take a little bit of this out of this bowl. Probably about that much. Pop it into this bowl. And this one I'm going to flavor with a little bit of the almond. And I'm not going super heavy on the almond. I'm going to do a half a teaspoon. Get a little mix in, make sure it's all in there. All right, and that's going to be cookie number 2. Or 3 or 4, it's one of them. It's one of the 5. If you are having a large holiday party, it's gonna be our almond there. If you're having a large holiday party and you need more of this, you could absolutely double, triple, quadruple this. It would be just fine. And then you have a lot more cookies. So for this next one, I want to tint it green, and I'm actually just going to use the same bowl because the almond is not going to affect me. If you don't want almond in your, and you only want almond in one cookie, then, you know, don't do this. But for me, I don't mind the almond flavor, so I'm going to use the same bowl, save myself a trip to washing a bowl, and dye a little bit of our batter green for my Christmas trees. So I'm going to go for a little bit more batter. And again, this is another one of those things where I'm not making a lot of cookies, although I am making them small, so we might get more than I'm expecting. But I'm gonna dye it with some of my green food coloring, and I'm not using a lot of this. I don't need a very dark green. This color is called Juniper green. I thought it was the most tree-like green I can go with. So I didn't want like a deep crayon green. I wanted more like a sagey color, which I think this is definitely achieving here. Now you can go deeper if you want to go deeper. I am going to stop it here. All right, so there is our green for our Christmas trees with a little star piping tip on there. All right, so now we're going to get our chocolate done. I'm going to pull this back over here. I'm going to get all of this scraped down into the sides. I will have everything for the variations listed in the description. We are going to be adding a little bit of cocoa powder that I am about to mix with a small amount of milk just to bring out the richness in the color. You can also, if you want a really nice deep chocolate flavor, mix it with a little bit of coffee, but you're not looking for a lot of liquid. You don't want to add a lot of liquid to this. We're just looking to add that darkness of the color of the chocolate. All right, so I have 1/4 cup of milk. To that, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of my chocolate powder, my cocoa powder. So I've got my chocolate mixed up here. And I'm going to just slowly add it in until I get the desired look that I'm going for. We don't have much dough left in here, so we don't want to put too much liquid in. All that in there because I want all that to mix in, because this has got to make our peppermint cookies, which we are going to be doing second. First, we are going to take what we need for our rolls and also our little mini Yule logs. Give a little bit more of a mix and not too much. We don't want to continue to make the gluten. So we're pretty much good here. I'll give it a little stir with my spatula before I put it in the bag. I'm pretty happy with that. All right, so we're gonna place some on some parchment for our chocolate for the rolls, just like we did with the other one. All right, so I have my chocolate for my last part of the roll. I'm gonna put that in the fridge. Now this last batch here is going to get a little bit of peppermint extract. All right, with peppermint oil, a little bit goes a very, very long way. So I have a little bottle here of Lorraine's oils, it's peppermint oil. I am going to add in maybe 1/8 of a teaspoon. I'm going to just take my little, I have a little 1/4 teaspoon here. I'm going to put just a little bit in because we don't have a lot of dough here. So I know the camera won't pick this up because it's a clear liquid, but I have barely got this thing, maybe barely even any in there. And that's about all we're gonna need. Add that into there. I'm just going to mix it in with my spatula. So I don't want to put the mixer back on for this little amount, and I don't want to risk having any more gluten develop. All right, so that should be enough to get all of that incorporated in there. And even that little bit, just it smells like a candy cane just got opened in here. All right, and there we have it, our peppermint. Now the peppermint is going to be my biggest cookie. Wasn't intentional, it just ended up being what we had left over in the bowl. So that's what I went with. If you want to evenly split it and like weigh it out, you can do that. Absolutely do that. All right, so let's pipe some cookies. So I think we are going to start with our almond because it's the least amount that I have. And for my almond, I just want to have like little, almost star-like. That's my plan for those. All right, so those are going to be my little almond stars, and I'm going to do a little bit of almond on top. This might look like a lot, but it's to get my point across that there is almond in this. Now there is absolutely the option to do an entire batch for each one of these variations. We just don't need that many cookies, especially with having all of this. So my little goal with this is like if you're having a cookie party at home watching a Christmas movie with your family and it's more like just you and the kids kind of a thing instead of having like a bunch of people over for a party. So if you have a bunch of people over for a party, you're gonna need more cookies. All right, so let's do the cherry. Oh, you know, no, let's do the Christmas trees. Moving down the line, we're gonna do our Christmas tree. For this, I just want these little zigzag cookies. I'm gonna do a little tree on top and just zigzag. If you want, we can take a little bit of our chocolate. Give our little trees a little base. I don't know how well that'll bake because they're so small, but they look adorable, don't they? So that's going to be the first tray, and I'm actually going to pop these in the fridge to kind of just give them a little chill before they go into the oven. All right, tray number 2 with my very poorly made up parchment paper. We are going to do our cherries. For my cherries, I'm pretty much just going to pipe little rosettes all the way around. I don't need them to be super neat because I'm going to take this cherry and I'm going to just pop it right in the center. All right, and then for our peppermint, we are just going to pipe little round cookies. I overfilled this bag. I'm gonna have to place some of these ones on another tray, so I'm gonna grab another tray and grab my other doughs out so we can start rolling our, hopefully, fingers crossed, getting these little miniature Yule logs going. So our white dough is beautiful and aerated and perfect, and so is our chocolate dough. So I'm hoping if I just like layer them on top of each other. I could have left this in the freezer a little bit longer, but if I want to be able to roll them, I need to have flexibility in the dough. I'm losing it. It'll be okay. I can make that work. All right. Cross our fingers and hope we can roll it. It's not the prettiest cookie I've ever made. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put down a little bit of my pastry flour. See if I can't get this more the way I was envisioning it. So I probably completely lost all of my roll, which is, it's fine. It's still going to be a marbled look to the dough. But we'll see in just a minute when we go to cut, because we are going to make this into little logs and bake them that way. So they might fall flat. I don't know, like I said, this is an experiment. I have no idea if this is gonna, I just figured in my house there's nothing more seasonal appropriate than a Yule log. So I thought I'd try and make one out of a cookie. I know we kept a little bit of our spiral. It's not too bad, so I think I'm just gonna go little cookies. I could have probably gotten this a little bit thinner of a roll, but I would have definitely lost all of our roll inside. Toward the end here, it got a little weird, but we did keep a little bit of our roll shape in there, so that's fun. Okay, before I put these ones in the oven, I'm gonna add a little bit of sprinkles to my trees, which I meant to do a few minutes ago and completely forgot. I'm just gonna put some of these sprinkles on here so that they stick when they're baking. And I also have this little jar of little star sprinkles that I thought I would put on the trees as well. But I just thought they were too cute not to use. So we are using them. And these are going to go in the oven at 350 for about, we'll go with 10 minutes and see where we're at. All right, so our cookies are out and I'm ready to start decorating cookie number 1. So I have some white chocolate here and also some crushed candy cane, because we're going to decorate our chocolate peppermint first. All right, so our chocolate peppermint baked perfect in these perfect little cookies. They're soft. They are perfectly shaped for exactly what I was looking for. And what I plan on doing is I have some white chocolate here. I'm just going to take my white chocolate, make sure there's no lumps in there. And I'm going to dip evenly as I can get it. And I'm going to take some of my crushed candy canes. All right, and that's it for our chocolate peppermint. Now I'm going to actually slide these over to the side, because while I have the white chocolate out, I think I'm going to do a white chocolate drizzle on top of our cherry. Okay, so for my cherry, I have the ever so slightest little hole in my piping bag. And you can see the drizzle is very fine. I'm just going to go back and forth. All right, and that's gonna be our chocolate cherry. You can also do this with a glaze. I had the white chocolate at the ready, and I actually like the taste of the butter cookies with the chocolate on it. So I decided to go with the white chocolate, but you could do it with a glaze, a powdered sugar glaze. That would also be very nice on top of here. All right, so we're going to return back to this tray, because I'm going to do the same thing for the almond, but with the chocolate. And I'm going to try not to get too vigorous with my chocolate because I don't want to get it on my beautiful little peppermint covered ones. And do a little drizzle. So this is 3 out of our 5 cookies. Little chocolate logs did not come out how I planned them, but I am going to garnish them anyway. I'm going to cover them with a little bit of chocolate, just like we did with these other ones. So I had originally, when I thought these were going to stay in log shape, had planned on dipping them in ganache, but I am going to instead drizzle my chocolate on top and add some sprinkles because they flattened out too much. So I don't think they look like logs anymore. But I have the chocolate I used from the other 2, so I'm just going to make the best out of the situation. All right, so that's our cookies. Butter cookies, basic butter cookies done 5 different ways. And I think they came out just absolutely darling. I love the little trees. The little trees are my favorite. And those stars are super cute. I'm so happy they weren't like some kind of like gelatin sprinkle that melted into it, because that's what I was worried about because they're so delicate and light. But I love our cherry. And although our logs did not come out the way I envisioned them looking like little miniature Yule logs. They kind of baked flat. They still are great. They still have the chocolates and vanilla flavored cookie in there, and I like the way that they're decorated. Our almond came out beautiful, as did our chocolate peppermint. So I'm very happy. I'm very happy with this selection of cookies. I'd be very proud to serve this at my little mini Christmas party at home with me and my kids and my husband, which is probably where these are about to end up, because Christmas Eve is tomorrow, and tomorrow is also our last day for our baking challenge. I can't believe we've made it 12 days already, 12 straight days of baking. So yeah, so that's gonna wrap up this one. I am excited to try these cookies. Let's try, let's go with an almond, actually. Let's try one of our almonds. I feel like I make the same face for every single treat that I've eaten during this past several days of filming these videos, but this is a really good cookie. The cookie is not too cakey, but it's like you get that it had pastry flour in there. You can see where that texture comes from because of how beautiful the texture is on the inside. The almond was just the right amount of almond. Really, really good. And I also want to try one of our chocolate peppermint to see if that peppermint flavor went a little too far, because remember we used just a little bit of the peppermint oil. So let's try one of those real quick. I'm going to try a side without the peppermint candy on it because I want to see if the peppermint is actually in our chocolate. Just the right amount of peppermint. If you would have gone for a full 1/4 teaspoon of this, it would have been way too much. Just having that little bit probably amounts to an 1/8, if not just a little less than an 1/8 of a teaspoon. Perfect amount for the amount of batter that we had. So this is really good. And I prefer those Lorraine oils over like the other ones you can buy at the grocery store. Just something about the flavor of them I just prefer. I find them at Hobby Lobby. Do I find them at Hobby Lobby? No, I find them at Michael's. That's where I find them. So I find them at Michael's, and there's normally a pretty decent selection. So, and you can also get them online. But this came out great. I am so excited for being through with this challenge because now I have these beautiful cookies. So if you've made any of these desserts with us so far on this challenge and you would like to show me what you've made, I would love to see what you have come up with. Please find me over on Instagram. I'm at the Busybug Homestead, and I am using the hashtag 12 Days of Christmas Confections Countdown. That's where I'm putting all of my pictures up on Instagram under that hashtag. So if you're looking for any of the desserts that I've made so far, or you have one of your own and you'd like to show us what you have, go ahead and use that hashtag, and I would love to see it. So thank you so much for joining us today, and we will see you tomorrow for our final day of the challenge. I'm excited. Bye.